Hi friends, I'm back with more exciting lecture today. We are starting, in fact, a lecture series by some of the senior academicians at Vice-Chancellor level. So in the past, Modlingua and our team has interacted with a large number of academicians at senior level, especially at Vice-Chancellor level. So in this series, today, one of the most prominent vice-chancellors that comes into picture, who has been very active as an academician, as a translator, as a linguist, and her name is called Dr. Jancy James. She was the first vice-chancellor of Kerala University. When she interacted with us at our platform, she gave a very excellent and good lecture and wisdom on how translators play bonding role. She also relates translators with mothers who play translators' role at intralinguistic level. So let's see how our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jancy James, gives us some important wisdom on languages and translation. Please watch till end and do subscribe to our channel. And thanks for being part of our community learning program. If you like it, please do share, do comment, and send your feedback. Hope to see you again in the same series with new lecture from another Vice Chancellor whose name I will reveal in our next series only. Till then, enjoy the lectures, gain the knowledge, and do share your knowledge with others. Thanks again.
Professor Atul Kothari, Dr. Rajkishore Kutyala, Dr. Oscar Pajor, the director of this institute, Mr. Ravi Kumar, who made it possible for me to be here today, other distinguished participants of this 3-day conference. Namaskar to all of you. I am not confused, because if I follow the principle of Professor Kothari, I have to speak in Malayalam and you will not understand anything. And Ravi Kumar would be helpless in translation. Translation has been hailed high in all the talks today. In the introductory talk, it was very meaningful that Dr. Oscar Pajor dropped the idea. The great correction in the very approach to the translator has happened in recent times. From translator as a distancing agent, from a traitor to the original, to a creator, as somebody who creates another language and another medium for people to understand and reach out to the original. I am from the discipline of literature. I myself am a translator. Above all that, as a mother, I am a translator. There is an intralinguistic translation which is happening, which is made compulsory for all mothers, translating the adult language to the child, so that the child can understand what the mother thinks, what the child has to do, how the child has to function, till it reaches the stage of comprehending the adult language. But today, the scenario is so different from what it was in the last, just 10 years ago. Translation has become a necessity. And as the ambassador's talk was not merely a talk complementing a 3-day conference on translation. But I think it was a talk, a diplomatic talk also. A talk which actually speaks about the possibility of establishing peace in this world. It's perhaps an irony that when we talk about a global village, we simply don't understand one another. Actually, as more and more communication facilities are improved, the more it happens that we don't understand one another. Misunderstanding, disharmony occur more and more. Translation, I think, is a unifying agent. Translation is an interpreter. Translation is a positive force in bonding people, in bonding information, in bonding sources of knowledge. I also belong to, as a founder director of a Center for Comparative Literature, I also belong to the discipline of comparative literature, where translation is not merely a practice or a linguistic activity, but also a category of genre of studies. Translation needs to be studied as a topic. What exactly happens in translation? Why this particular verbal equivalent is placed for translating the source language? Why not some other words? Another person, another translator might drop another word in the place of a word in the source language. So the choice of the equivalent is a reflector of the translator's attitudes, understanding of the source language, cultural background, linguistic competency, and so many things. So there are so many issues involved in the task of translation. And there is also the reality of untranslatability. Of course, I know that in these 3 days, you will be analyzing machine translation, which has become a necessity now. It's an inevitable thing. Recently, I introduced, because I'm the Vice-Chancellor of a new university, just 3 years old, I just launched a department of linguistics where we are going to offer an MA program in linguistics and language technology. Recently, we had to get into many of the advanced areas of linguistics. I have to appoint in this department of linguistics not merely linguistics faculty, but experts from the field of computer science. It's very interesting that when I recruited faculty, a gentleman from Ohio University, he took an MA in linguistics from Jawaharlal Nehru University. He has also a BTech from a university in Kerala, and he has now a PhD in language technology from Ohio University. He is inevitable to our department. So, the very approach to language study has changed. Now, this idea of making use of translation as a vibrant, creative activity which bonds people, which also makes information accessible and reachable, I hope will be the central concern of these 3 days. It's also really interesting that certain, very thought-provoking developments also take place through translation. See, as the Tagore, celebrations were going on in the last 1 year, I had, in spite of all my, daily chores of the administration-related work, I went into a little study of Tagore's Gitanjali, particularly the translations of Gitanjali in my mother tongue, Malayalam. There are more than 60 translations. Even today, every day, there is a Malayalam translation of Gitanjali taking place in the language. This perhaps is the case in many Indian languages. It's very interesting to note that the language used in Malayalam translation of Gitanjali is actually something which has emerged from the Malayalam translation of Psalms, a particular section of the Bible, Psalms, Sankirtan. You know how it happened? The Europeans who came to India, they had definitely this, missionary zeal. And when they tried to translate Bible into the vernacular. Their aim was not merely a linguistic activity, but also definitely evangelization, the idea of promoting Christianity. But it's very interesting to know that many of them were experts in language, in Spanish, in Portuguese, in Latin, and English. So they actually, when they studied the vernacular of India, particularly in the South Malayalam, they really made a good study of the possibilities of the language. So they created a Malayalam language in the translation of Psalms, which actually created a new development in the evolution of Malayalam prose. So because of the translation that was inevitable for the European missionary who translated the Psalms into Malayalam, a new Malayalam emerged, a new prose emerged. It is lyrical, it is simple, it is direct, it is heart-touching, because it has to touch the hearts of people before they think of changing their religion, or changing their modes of worship, or changing their god of worship. So it is a very delicate act. So this delicacy, this tenderness that was inevitable got into the Malayalam prose. Interestingly, when Gitanjali, which is also, this very significant dimension of a direct bonding or communion with God by the individual, the Malayalam translators used the language of the Psalm Malayalam translation. It's a very interesting study. So the possibilities of translation study, even as a person from literature, are exciting to me. And I'm sure that in this time, in this world, when machine translation, becomes very inevitable, very easy also, because it doesn't require time. When I translated some works, days and nights sometimes, just for a single word, because of the cultural untranslatability. Linguistic untranslatability, somehow we can tide over, but words simply do not exist in the repertoire of the target language. So what do? But now, machine language, machine has a different world of expression. It has got pictures, it has got graphs, it has got all kinds of supportive and complementary elements to enrich translation. And I hope that people like you who are interested in translation, in literature, in technology, in peace studies, as the ambassador's talk definitely inspired us for, you would definitely think of how to yoke the machine translation with the human activity, with the heart activity that goes into translation. You have to combine, you have to bond the human and the mechanic in the task of translation. This is important not only for translating informative sources, but also for translating any other area of linguistic expression. I'm stopping here. I profusely thank Ravi Kumar for giving me this opportunity to be with you. Looking at the topics, I wish I could stay here, but I came for a Vice-Chancellor's conference, and this was a fallout for me. I also make this opportunity to express my interest in introducing Spanish language as a study in our university, where we do have a department of foreign languages. So I look forward to more of interaction and collaboration with the institute. I wish this conference all success, and I'm sure that with the initiative of Mr. Ravi Kumar and Dr. Oscar Pujol, a meaningful document would come out of these proceedings, which would go a long way in advancing translation studies and also making use of translation as a globalizing, as a peacemaking, as an agent in Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. Thank you very much.